What are we to do in light of so many different versions? What difference does it make in what version we use? Dr. Piccirilli.
Well, the King James translators themselves said in the preface to the 1611 version, a variety of translations is profitable for the finding out of the sense of the Scriptures. And again, I think they were very much right. I think we have to begin by giving thanks to God that different people with different backgrounds will have opportunities to hear the Word of God the way they understand it best. That's the very reason for any translation. That's what the Bible is for, to communicate with people where they live. Furthermore, we're thankful that the translations made by conscientious Bible-believing scholars express the very same basic truths of Christian doctrine and practice. Let me suggest how we should not respond to the existence of different English versions. We should not promote the idea that the variety of English versions is a source of confusion. And we should not respond by claiming that any certain translation is the only version that can be called the Word of God. That is simply a way of avoiding the real issues, and that's what contributes to confusion. There is a serious danger in limiting the Word of God to a single version. Any version in any language that was conscientiously intended to translate accurately the Hebrew and Greek original is by definition the Word of God. And it is disrespectful to God and to His Word to say that it is not. As I said before, any version is the Word of God to the degree that it accurately translates the meaning of the original. And there are several English versions that do this. Some of them are older than the King James, and some of them are more recent. Even so, we should respond to the multiplicity of English versions available to us by realizing that there is a need for discernment and careful evaluation. One reason for this is that there are different philosophies of translation, and some of those get us closer to the original words of God than others do. In the first place, some translations strive for what we call formal equivalence. That is, trying to use as many words in the same form as the original as possible. In the second place, some other translations strive for what is called dynamic equivalence. That is, trying to convey the original meaning as it might have been expressed in our day, regardless of the original form of the words. This method can sometimes be helpful, but such a translation must be more carefully evaluated. And in the third place, some versions are merely paraphrases and take large liberties with the original and are really no better than commentaries. For a person's own regular reading of the Bible or for public use, I recommend a formal equivalence translation. It puts us closer to the original way the truths of God were expressed. Such translations are concerned about both the meaning and the words, and that makes for the best translation.
Dr. Harrison, continue that thought as how we're to respond to so many different versions, please.
Two reasons stand out as to why we have many English translations. First, since God expects us to do all we can to understand His Word, and since our knowledge of ancient languages is always advancing, we need ongoing translation work. God expected the King James translators to use the best available knowledge for their work in the 1600s, and He expects the same in our day. A second reason we have several translations is because English is constantly changing. When King James translators selected the word gay to describe a man's clothing, their rendering was right on. Gay, however, has undergone a shift in meaning. These days, readers stumble over words like coulter and tash, but will probably understand shovel and clasp. Does it matter which translation we use? Absolutely. Some renderings are better than others. And though Bible translators usually come from a who's who of scholars, their work must be subjected to rigorous analysis. Thankfully, God has blessed the Christian community with scholars who pour out their lives in giving us the old words of God in the new language of our day.